Welcome back to my channel. This is the mid-year book freakout tag. Now that we are just about halfway through the year, I know we've got a couple of days left, but I'm counting it. We've made it, guys. I thought it was time to post about the mid-year book freakout tag. This was created by Ellie. I will leave a link to her channel down below. I think this tag has been going for like 11 years now, which is wild. I love that it's so popular every single year. Absolutely brilliant. It asks some really good questions. There's one that I will not be answering because I'm just not about that, but I'll talk about that when I get to it. Without further ado, let's talk about some books. The first question is, what is the best book you've read so far this year? I've picked out two, because the first one is just absolutely incredible and I cannot say enough good things about it. And the other one is one that I think deserves a bit more recognition for doing what it does. I'll tell you about that as well once I get to it. So the first one I was talking about that is absolutely phenomenal is A History of Burning. So this one is, I think this was my first 5-star read of the year, or like one of the first. This is a historical fiction novel which is kind of generational. So it starts with one young boy who is basically tricked into going to Africa by the British to work on the East African Railway in Kenya and Uganda. And he ends up settling in Uganda and starting a family there. And you kind of follow his family through the generations within this community that they have built. These are all Indian people who have been mainly born in Uganda or Kenya at this point. You're kind of seeing how their community works there and the struggles that they go through, the way that they don't really fit in Africa with the locals, and the British who brought everyone over there or colonized, they were treating both groups very, very differently. And so there was no community between the two groups, and that's definitely because of the British. It covers a civil war and it spans a couple of continents. This is absolutely brilliant. I think this is a debut book as well. This was absolutely fantastic and it's one that I'm definitely going to reread. Before reading this, I didn't really know much or anything at all about how the British used Indian people over in different countries, because they had obviously already colonized India and were able to use the people there. I hate saying the word use, but that's what they were doing, to basically go and colonize the rest of the world as well. Yeah, this was very, very informative, incredibly heart-wrenching, and I absolutely loved it. So this is definitely my favorite book of the year so far. I don't think anything can top this. It's absolutely wonderful. The next book is a bit of a shift in tone, so just have a sip of coffee or something while we switch, and that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is nothing like A History of Burning. So this is a paranormal romance book, and the romance is between a vampire and a werewolf who are forming an alliance to ensure that both of their groups of people don't clash. So I've put this as one of my favorite books of the year because I love what Ali Hazelwood is doing here. I love that she is bringing back paranormal romance to like the mainstream. I used to read so much werewolf and vampire fan fiction when I was younger, and then I actually started off reading shifter romances when I was about 15. Arguably, you could say I was a bit young for it, but I feel like I was quite a mature 15-year-old. And it's a genre that has really stuck with me, and I wish there were more of them. And I love that Ali Hazelwood, who is already a best-selling author, TikTok sensation, etc., is bringing this to the mainstream. And so more people are able to discover it, and hopefully this means more of these types of books will be published, because they are just brilliant. I don't think everyone has had such a positive reaction to this book. I know that some people found the knotting to be a bit icky, but to be honest, that's not the weirdest thing I've read about in a paranormal romance or fan fiction. That's actually quite tame. So with paranormal romance books, you just have to go along with it and just don't take it too seriously. And I think that's maybe what a lot of people were doing here. You're reading about vampires and werewolves, guys. It's not, I'm not going to get into it, but let's not. So I actually really love this one. I didn't give it 5 stars. I think I gave it 4.5, but it's so much fun. And I would actually read more. It's set in Ali Hazelwood's paranormal romance world if she were to write it. I think there's potential, going by the ending of this one, to follow a different couple, which would be really good. My only issue with this book was that the main character was called Misery. That was, yeah, a choice. Moving on, question number 2 is, what is the best sequel that you've read this year? And I have 2 again for this one. The first one being Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, but this could be any of the follow-up 3 books. This is the sequel to The Naturals, which she released before the Inheritance Games series, but that one gained a lot of traction, and so now publishers are remarketing, publishing this one. I read The Naturals when it first came out, not to brag or anything, and I really, really loved it, but I never carried on with the series. And one of my best friends actually nagged me for years. Sorry, Dee, you didn't nag me. She was trying to convince me for ages to finish this off, and I finally did, and I read all of these very recently. It's such a good series. I have loved following all of these characters from start to finish. The ending to the last book was a bit weird and out there, and it was doing a bit too much, but I'm going to post a full series review, I think, on this series. I'm so glad that I carried on with this. If you don't know what the first book is about, it's essentially Criminal Minds YA. The teenagers in it have sort of natural gifts because of past traumas. They've learnt to do various things, and so they're called naturals. The main character, Cassie, is a natural profiler. She's really, really good at reading people, and her friends and other people in the team work for the FBI to solve, at the beginning, cold cases. I really, really love this series. It's so good. I would highly recommend it. I would also highly recommend the Murderbot books. This is book number 2 and I loved it. I'm really, really into this series. Audiobooks are absolutely fantastic. They were previously free on Audible if you had a membership, but they've been taken off now, which is really annoying. But they are on Spotify, and they're also quite short, so you can get through multiple in a month before your Spotify minutes run out. I really, really loved this book. The first one is about a robot called Murderbot, has kind of left its past behind, but is now doing a mission for a bunch of humans. It doesn't really want to, it just wants to stay indoors and watch its soaps all day, which is entirely relatable, but it keeps getting caught up in various issues. So yeah, that's what this one's about. I loved this. The next question is, what is a new release that you haven't read yet but really want to? I've got 2 for this as well. I have so many books, you guys. The first one is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I've actually started this book. I adore all of her books. Well, I've read 3, the Part of Your World books, which this is like in universe with. I haven't read her backlist. I don't know if I want to because I've not seen the best reactions. I started this and I could tell that I was not in the correct mood or mindset for it, so I put it down because I really, really want to love it, and I knew that I needed to be in the right headspace. I'm dying to read this one. I'm fully expecting to give it like 4 or 5 stars, so cannot wait to get to this once I'm in the right mood. I think because I've got a week off coming up soon, I'm going to try and fit this one in. It is around Summerween. I'm considering taking part in Summerween myself, and this doesn't really fit, but it's the summer half of Summerween, so maybe I'll go for that. And the next one is Floating Hotel. I originally wasn't going to buy this because I wasn't sure if I was going to love it, and hardbacks are expensive, but it went on sale and I just decided to just go for it, because if I don't buy it, I'm probably never going to pick it up. That's kind of my attitude for buying most of the books on my shelves, which is why I have a problem. I don't even know really what this is about, but my friend Marlene described it as kind of Becky Chambers in a hotel, or Becky Chambers books vibes in a hotel, not Becky Chambers herself in a hotel. I think there's a bit of a mystery in here. It looks like it says it's the Grand Budapest Hotel in space, perfect for fans of Becky Chambers, tick, Martha Wells, tick, and Aliette de Bodard. I don't know who. Oh, I've got one of their books here as well, so maybe if I enjoy this, I'll read the other book. The next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of 2024? And I can't actually remember what's coming out. So we've got the final book in the Belladonna series. There's Wisteria. I'm really looking forward to that, and I think most of my other anticipated releases have come out already, but I'll put some covers up here. There's a new Liz Tom Ford book coming out soon. I think that's coming out in July. So yeah, there are a few. Again, covers will be up here. The next question is, what is your biggest disappointment? And I think this is going to be on a lot of people's lists. House of Flame and Shadow. This was absolutely horrendous. This was an awfully written book. I'm really sad because I was expecting something much different after the ending to the second book. I can't remember the name of it, and I don't even like what happened at the end of the last book because I don't like the characters who showed up. In fact, I actually hate them, so I really wasn't looking forward to reading about them. But once I started this, I realized that I had an idea in my head of what would happen with Bryce and the other characters, and when that didn't happen in this, I was really disappointed. So clearly I was expecting something that Sarah J Maas just didn't really want to go for. I don't even know what I was expecting. It was just not this. Whatever happened in here at the first like 200 pages was just so boring. The entire thing was boring, actually. Like, it's not just the first 200 pages. This was a slog to get through. I could probably do a full video review on this. I don't know if like the time has passed at this point, so let me know if you want me to review it. It was just really boring. The ending was dull. There was so much build up for absolutely no reason. I didn't like any of the characters bar one, who I will talk about later. I cannot see myself rereading this series, and I've hidden these behind my other Sarah J Maas books because they don't deserve to be on my shelf, but they are. I did buy the hardbacks, so I don't really want to just get rid of them because this was £22. I didn't pay full price for it because it was on sale, but £22 for a hardback, and she's done this. That's awful. The next question is, what was your biggest surprise? And that was Mile High by Liz Tomford. I was not expecting to give this book 5 stars, but I absolutely did. This is a sports romance book about a ice hockey player and a flight attendant. She, the flight attendant, works on his team's private jet. That's how they meet each other. It's an haters to lovers romance, definitely not enemies to lovers. It's not that harsh. And I hated the main character at first, but oh my god, he grew on me. It was absolutely fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. I cannot believe that this has happened. I don't know what's happened to me. The next question is, who's your favourite new author? And I don't know about all-time favourite, but Darcy Coates is like way up there. I read Parasite in just one day, one evening, in fact, just a few hours. It was so fast to read. This is a space horror book, and space horror is one of my new favourite genres. Darcy Coates just knocked this out of the park, and I've been looking up synopses for her other books. I've read one haunted house book by her, and it was just all right. But I've looked up her like sci-fi horror books and her other thrillers, and they do look like my kind of thing. So I've already bought another one. I'm going to be reading it literally today. That's her ocean horror book called From Below. And I just think I get a vibe that she is going to be one of my favourites for horror books. So yeah, I've put Darcy Coates for this question. The next question is, who's your newest fictional crush? And this is the one that I'm not going to be answering. I don't have any crushes. It's going to sound really cheesy, but I like my husband, and that is it. I just don't really do crushes anymore, and I'm sorry if that grossed you out because it felt weird saying it. The next question is, who is your favourite character? And for this, I'm actually going to hold up House of Flame and Shadow again, because there's a character in this one whose name I can't remember, but it's the stag shifter. Hang on, let me just find her name. It's really embarrassing. I say she's my favourite and then can't remember what she is called. Come on, this book is like 800 pages long and doesn't mention her name. Lydia. Absolutely love her for various reasons, particularly something that's revealed towards the end of this book. She's the only character that I liked in this at all. Yeah, I would say her, because no one else has really stood out to me like character wise. I don't really find that many amazing characters, although, sorry, just looking at my pile again, Murderbot, absolutely an all-time favourite character. Oh my god. Number 10 is a book that made you cry, and for this one I've chosen The Measure. This one made me weep towards the end. I had to go upstairs and finish it because I didn't want my husband to be like, what are you doing? and take the book away from me. This was just such a thought-provoking and heart-wrenching story, and it felt, I don't know if everyone feels this way, but it felt really deep to me, and it touched me in a deep level. In case you don't know, this is kind of like literary speculative fiction. One day everyone wakes up and they find a box with a string of a certain length, and this string indicates how long they've got left to live. Literally everyone receives it, but they don't have to look at the box, and this goes into like discussions of what would you do if you only had a short string, how would you cope if your other half had a short string, would you even look at the box, is knowing that you have a short string the reason that you have a short string, and that kind of like mind fuck. So it's really, really interesting, and definitely a good one for book clubs actually. The next question is, what is a book that made you happy? And for that, I'm going to choose Bride, because if you couldn't tell by my gushing earlier, this made me very happy. I love that the paranormal romance genre is coming back. Please continue. I loved this. There's a question about your favourite book to movie adaptation, but I don't know if I've seen any. I'm about to start watching House of the Dragon season 2 now that I finished my rewatch, so there's that. But I've not been to the cinema this year, and I can't think of any other adaptations that I've seen, which is disappointing because normally I'm all about that. The next question is, what is the most beautiful book you've bought this year? So this is going to be a bit of a spoiler for my next book haul whenever I post that, because I went on a bit of an eBay spree and bought some special editions for really, really cheap because no one else was bidding on them. It was just me with like 5 minutes to go being like, £5 please. My favourite one out of that haul is the Scarlet Alchemist. This one is absolutely stunning. So the original cover for this, which I'll put up here, is not good. I don't like people and faces on my covers anyway. I find it very bland, but this one is beautiful. So this is a Fairy Loot exclusive edition. This is the main like dust jacket, I suppose. I'm not used to reviewing this kind of stuff. This is the art. I don't know why look at the book and not me. So these are, what are they called, like end papers or something? I'm doing this in the worst way possible. Fairy Loot, sponsor me. This is the sprayed edges, I suppose, and then this is the naked hardback, and oh my god, it's absolutely stunning. I don't actually remember what this book is about. It was on one of my most anticipated releases, new releases lists. Can't remember what it's about, but this is beautiful and I cannot stop looking at it. It's so good. So I'm going to put that back off camera because that was embarrassing. I'm never going to become a rep at this rate. And then the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I really struggled with this question because I need to read all of my TBR books because I have a TBR problem. I've actually got a video series starting from next month in which I vlog myself reading books from my physical TBR to try and get my TBR down to 0. It's going to be an adventure for all of us. So that's coming. So I do need to read absolutely everything at some point. So I really struggled to pick out just one book. So I picked out 4 for different reasons. The first one being Halflings. This is one that I bought as a physical copy after I didn't read the NetGalley book back when it came out in 2012. So I need to read this one by the end of this year, otherwise I'm just going to embarrass myself even further. I really want to reread The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and the rest of the series, and I really want to do that by the end of the year. I adore Becky Chambers and this series in general, so really want to reread this one. I'll be really sad if I don't. For Wings of Shadow, this one's on the list because I either need to read it or just get it off my shelf because I adored the first book, Crown of Feathers, gave it 5 stars, gave the second book 1 to 2 stars. It was absolutely boring and dull, didn't like it. And then this one I just don't even want to read, so I'm really sad that I bought the hardback, but I just need to do something with it because it's sat on my shelf taking up space. So there's this one. And then finally, the last one is one that like I do have a time deadline on and I absolutely do 100% have to read by the end of the year, and that is Oathbringer. So this is just part 1 because in the UK they're split into 2 because they're enormous. I really want to catch up in time for the 5th book to come out, so I need to read this and also Rhythm of War. I don't know if I'm going to read the 5th book immediately in November when it's coming out because I've just got a lot of stuff going on in November and December, but I want to be ready and prepared. I want to join in the hype, so I do need to read Oathbringer very soon and then get to Rhythm of War. So this is one that I absolutely do have to read by the end of the year. So those are my answers to the mid-year book freakout tag. I don't know who out of my friends has done this already. Judith, Angela, Robin, I don't know if any of you have done this, so you're tagged. If not, I guess you're tagged either way, but it's a bit of a useless tag if you have already recorded this video. So thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you are struggling to think of what to say, just tell me what your best book of the year has been so far because I would love to know. I will speak to you all in the next video. Bye.